in 1969, I guess, I was in the under 100 club. I was drafted and my number was 99. So I signed up for 4 years. The created Army language test. I kind of aced it. So I went through basic training. At the end of basic training, they said, called my name, and they said, you're going to Fort Bliss, El Paso, Texas, Defense Language Institute, and you're going to study and learn the language of Vietnamese, Hanoi dialect. And I said, well, I guess I know where I'm going. A couple days before I went to Vietnam, there was a gentleman I served with, and he was a baseball fan, I was a baseball fan. And we actually took a plane and we went to a San Francisco Giant Met game. And we went to Candlestick Park, got tickets right down by the Met dugout. And we started talking to a couple of the players, and the game was getting ready to start. And Yogi Berra, I remember, was the coach at the time. He leans out and he says, hey guys, going to start the game, you want to come in? Hey, yo, we're talking to two guys from New York. The other gentleman with me was from Buffalo. They're going to Vietnam tomorrow. Whoa, well, the game was delayed about 10 minutes because everybody came over. The other team started coming over. It was kind of cool. As much of the country that didn't like what we were doing or didn't like the war we were involved in, there were people in very, very successful parts of life that did appreciate what we were doing and we were serving. I mean, I came out number one in both classes after 60 weeks, and I thought that would entitle me to go to the embassy in Saigon, maybe bowl and play golf a couple days a week. And I got assigned to Camp Eagle, which is in north central Vietnam, just south of Hue. And it was myself, 4 other Americans, and 220 Vietnamese, the 1st ARVN Division. I had top secret cryptologic clearance, all that happy stuff, and I used to talk to and interview prisoners that we would get and interpret radio messages. We had a diddy-bop, we had a radio operator, and like I said, our little compound was half the size of this room, and it was probably worth about $10 million. And actually, all of that has just been declassified 5 or 6 years ago, because technically we weren't supposed to be there. We would go out in the field after we called in some type of airstrikes, and we would go out in the field, and yes, we would engage in some combat activity. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I mean, everything sounds nice sitting here. I did spend every day over there scared to death. Anybody that tells you didn't is flat out lying to you. It scares you. I mean, the first day I was in country, we took income and blew up the hut that I was assigned. I rolled out of, forgetting I was on a second bunk, I rolled out, fell on my face, and then we ran for cover and I turned around and the hooch was gone. So if that doesn't scare you, you give a wake-up call going, this isn't John Wayne and Green Beret movie, you know, it's like, oh my God, this is really, these people really don't like us. So war is scary, it is necessary. The biggest problem I guess I have with any war, the current conflict we're in now, Vietnam, Korea, World War I and World War II we fought to win, the rest we haven't. If you want to fight, let's fight to win. I mean, that's my personal philosophy. Nothing to do with politics, just if you're going to fight, fight to win. You don't play war, you fight war. And to play war, all you're doing is gambling American lives, which is not right. Well, I have no demons. I have nothing, you know. I have a Nixon story where I actually spoke to him when I was in Vietnam, and I didn't believe him. This is President Nixon. I say, yeah, bullshit, and I'm Wild Bill Hickok. I had called for a B-52 strike. This General White, who took over for Westmoreland, came to our complex and bell rang. I was like, yeah, this is General White, password. This is General White, wrong password, and I walked away, and I wouldn't let him in. And he can't see us. We're in a big hunkered down bunker. And my captain, Jimmy Shaka, came up and he said, who was that? General White. Says he's General White. It is General White. Well, I didn't know the password. And what'd you do? I couldn't let him in. You let him in. So he let him in. So we had what's called the war board. All the red around us was North Vietnamese. I said, we're about to be overrun. Within 3 hours from the intelligence we've received, me translating, blah, 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 and listening to. So what do you suggest? I'm calling for a B-52 strike. We're not supposed to do them anymore. I said, well, that's good. So then, do you want to die right there, or do you want to die in the Jeep? Your call. So we went back and forth, and that's when he got Nixon on the phone. And I told him, I said, we need B-52. Are you serious? Serious as a heart attack. I want to go home. We got the B-52 strike, and after it was all over, went out there, and there were a couple of North Vietnamese dead. So we were history. Yeah, that was my Nixon story. People say, really? I said, I couldn't tell it up until 5 or 6 years ago when it became declassified. I came home December 22nd of 1972 and landed in San Francisco, got off the plane and quite literally got on my hands and knees and kissed the ground that I was home, and stood up and had 3 kids, I say kids, in their teens, early 20s, come up and spit in my face, call me a fucker and baby killer, and I did everything within my power, which I didn't realize I had to avoid getting arrested. And I didn't. I had taken a police test before I went in, and in '74 I became a cop, and I made it from police officer to sergeant to lieutenant, rank I held for 22 years. I retired in 2011 after 37 years, 29 days. I've had 2 heroes in my life. My father, who died in 1980 before he got to meet 2 of my 3 kids, died way too young. And my son, Brett, he'll be 34 next month. He was born in March of 1985 with Down syndrome. Obstetrician said, who was crying actually, said, he'll never run the jump. I said, no, don't bet any money on that. And he's participated in and won Special Olympics medals. He actually, you know, it sounds like a cliche, but he was winning a 100-meter race, and kid behind him fell, and he stopped and picked him up, and they walked arm in arm to the finish line together, dead last. And I said, you were winning a gold medal. And he said, it's not about gold. I couldn't let him not finish. So that's kind of like the son teaching the dad a little life lesson. Well, I got started, it was a group called All Island Sports, which was 10 sports that went year-round. And they had picked up sled hockey, and I got involved in that, raising money for them. And then when my son became 12, he was allowed to play. It was just a USA hockey rule. And it was just incredible. And in '03, the gentleman who was in charge stepped down, and I took over the hockey end of it, and we incorporated as Long Island sled hockey. We had 16 athletes. We now have 51. When I took over and we had our first meeting with all the parents and kids, I said the first tenet, the main principle of this program is the kids don't pay for anything. They get tired of hearing the old guy, that's me, say I'm running a hockey program, not a travel agency. I'll pay for your travel, I'll pay for all your expenses, you gotta come to practice. Going away and traveling with the team is not an obligation, it's a privilege, and you earn that privilege by showing up at practice. This isn't military veterans, these are life veterans. And I say that because these are kids and adults from all walks of life, all different types of disabilities, but they're all one team. And they all have that same philosophy that they are a team. The phone number that's on our website is my cell phone.
Okay.
Call me if you'd like to make a donation. You know, if you look on the website, it says we measure their success in smiles, self-determination and courage, dedication and confidence. PTSD isn't a new thing. It's a new term. World War I and World War II used to call it battle fatigue, shell shock. And now it's PTSD, and it's a real serious issue. We have 5 vets on our roster, 2 of whom show up all the time, Chris and Donna, and the other 3 are dealing with their own personal demons. And you know, the stories are out there everywhere, but I think more and more vets programs are getting involved in athletic events.
I came, I wanted to see how it was like, first-hand experience.
and I met Coach Bryan Blomquist and Coach Frank, and it's excellent organizations. They have wounded warriors as well as physically challenged people, and when they go on the ice, their disability disappears. They shine like stars, and we learn from each other.
And really the greatest honor of playing with this team is being able to play with these athletes who normally live with everyday challenges, but on the ice you just don't see that. I mean, they are really the heroes, and that's what keeps me going. When I came home, I needed something like that. I needed that camaraderie, and I found it here on the Long Island Rough Riders.
It's just amazing at what they do, and I think everybody who comes down, especially the vets, get an appreciation of what's going on. And we like to think that maybe their lives change a little bit with this. And like I said before, it's definitely not about money. If you can't, you don't have to be able to afford anything. I'll provide everything for you. All you got to do is show up. That's all you got to show up. Nobody in this program, nobody on our staff gets paid. Everybody's a volunteer, and we keep getting more and more volunteers, and they're just amazing. And they have smiles on their faces watching our kids' smiles on theirs. You just broke the camera smiling at it, just so you know that. I am a cancer survivor that was attributed to Agent Orange, and I've been cancer-free since, cancer-free 10 years. And the VA helped me with all of that. They were terrific. VA, I know you're watching, some of you are watching. They can do more, especially for the young vets coming home with PTSD. I mean, it is real. We discussed it before. It used to be called shell shock, battle fatigue. It's PTSD. It's real. It's here, and it's not going away. Before you start feeling real sorry for yourself, take a look at Long Island sled hockey. If you think you got it bad, take a look at some of my kids. And I call them all my kids. I mean, my youngest kid is 10 in this program, and my oldest kid is 69. They're all my kids. Take a look at them. So when you're thinking, going, oh, geez, I can't, no, you know what, there's a lot you can do. And maybe, you know what, if you're athletic at all, come down and take a look. You might decide you like it. We get a great group of volunteers, kids who come down, parents who come down. I thank them very, very much, because they get the same pay I get, which is the W-2 reads zero at the end of the day, you know. You have more rights that you take for granted because a vet or veterans not necessarily gave their lives, but that's the ultimate sacrifice. But they fought for you to have these rights, for you to have the right to spit in my face. That's because a vet died for that right, to give you that right and keep that right. And all I try to relate to my team of differently abled athletes, my family. Have respect for the vets. Don't ever pass up a vet without stopping and saying thank you. Doesn't hurt, doesn't cost you anything, costs you an extra 4 seconds. Just thank you for your service, welcome home. Means a lot. Trust me, as a vet, it does mean a lot to hear those words.